All right, for our, I guess, Palladium segment today. I'm not covering a Rifter for once. I took a look at the Rifts Bestiary, and no, I did not read it cover to cover, beginning to end. I could not do that. What I did is I picked two creatures out of here that I thought were interesting, and I dove into them. One of which, actually not this video, be the next video, is the creature on the cover. For this one, I picked the Cerebro-Scrambler. That sounds like a fun time, doesn't it? Well, let's find out what the Cerebro-Scrambler is, what it does, and how you can deal with it. And I'm going to give you 3 hook, line, and sinkers for the Palladium, for the non-Palladium folks. Those are adventures. I'm going to give you 3 adventures for this creature as well. So let's take a look at that now. All right, there's our cover, the Rifts Bestiary. Is it pronounced bestiary or bestiary? It doesn't have the A in there.
Yeah, it's bestiary.
Bestiary, okay.
It's no stupid English nonsense.
Yeah, I always spell it wrong because I want to put the A in there for beast.
Yeah.
95, okay. So this one's on page 95, so I'm guessing it's actually 96. Yeah, I was right. Well, here's the thing. It's cut in half. So that's probably a size stalker or somebody, maybe. I don't know. He's got a spider in his head. I don't trust him. And here's the other half of the creature. He looks friendly, doesn't he?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine.
All right. So we'll leave it there. I'm not going to read this part of it. Here's the thing, and this is going to be true about the next video as well. I had to trim down this information to something digestible before we got into stats and then talk about the hook, line, and sinkers. I am not telling you everything about the creature. There's a lot, like every one of those paragraphs is meaningful and gives you more information. I'm giving you the digest version. So please don't, you didn't talk about how the thing, I'm giving you the Reader's Digest version at this point to see if it's something you want to use in your game. So think of a curious air swimming octopus made of mischief and muscle. That treats your technology like your cat treats your laptop.
Oh,
yeah, lays on it, sits on it until it stops working. That's this creature. It's not a boogeyman. Oops, got to keep my notes here. It's not a boogeyman that hunts you for blood. It is a highly social scavenger that in fights, if you want to call it that, or wins by denying electronics. If you're a Borg, you probably don't like this thing, or you're nervous around this thing.
Nervous?
What's that?
Dead.
That could happen. Up close, gear gets glitchy. When startled or threatened, it throws a bigger pulse, an attentional pulse, that blanks systems. And it doesn't matter. Oh, I'm sitting in my reinforced cockpit. Doesn't matter. This thing busts through that. And it blanks your system, then zips away, watching from a safer perch. Like, what happens if I poke this again? So that doesn't give you enough information. Let's look at its behavior. Scramblers are playful. They're object obsessed and surprisingly bright in terms of animal. They're about as smart as an octopus, maybe a monkey or a dolphin. Like, you can train these things. And in fact, scrolling here, this can be a pet or a companion, whatever term you're supposed to use nowadays. They love shiny things, dangling cords, status lights, anything that blinks or clicks or makes makes a octopus monster happy. You'll see them collect trinkets, even use simple tools. A drop baton becomes a stick to poke a camera. A lanyard becomes nest decor. They're not malicious by default. If they escalate, it's because the environment is loud, bright, and chaotic, or because somebody has pointed guns and floodlights at them. They also remember. If you are mean to him, he will remember that you were mean to him.
Oh, so they're like murder hornets.
And he'll bring his friends.
Of course. Okay.
They can be found alone or in shoals of 40 or more members, including juveniles. They're cunning hunters who learn quickly, remember enemies, and will work as a team. Okay. And again, let's just look at it one more time. So you're wandering around and you got a Cthulhu monster floating, and all of a sudden your stuff goes glitchy.
Look around for any more that can see you. If there's no more around, kill it. Kill it dead.
Or don't kill it.
What?
Why would you kill it?
Because it deserves death.
Why does it deserve death?
Well, number one, it's not human.
Okay, so cats and dogs and rhinoceroses and kangaroos, they're not human. They all deserve death?
There's argument.
Okay. So where do they thrive? Anywhere tech dependence is high and the air has structure. What that means is up in rafters, up in a loft, hanging around. They don't actually fly, so to speak. They kind of can. We'll get to that later. But they hover about a foot off the ground. But they can fly sort of ish if necessary.
Okay.
But they love to hang out in rafters. They love to be on catwalks of maintenance facilities and places like that, especially if there's tech there. You know, your crane goes faulty. You might want to check to see if there's something floating in your ceiling first. Let's see, bridge trusses and for some reason, strong crosswinds. The lee side of a ship or a causeway, you know, kind of out of sight, out of mind a little bit. And I hope there's just one cat in here. Otherwise, I have a cat trying to kill another one. They swim through the air, climb through cables, and retreat vertically. Oh, they climb very well, and they love cable, the nests of cables. They will have a great time. They kind of like monkeys swing across stuff. These guys will do the same thing. In short, they pick battlefields where our habits, radios, heads-up displays, drones, become liabilities. So, how do you know if one is near? So here's some notable telegraphs. Your HUD reticle jitters. You know, you're looking down the scope of your rifle, or you got your electronic binoculars, and you know you get that little the heck. You know, and then maybe it fades out, maybe it doesn't. You know, but you get a little telltale sign. The radio, you're squelching like, babe, can't hear you. Shut up! Stop pretending. We know you can hear me. I gave you an order. Not really. I can't. You know, you get some of that going on. Cameras try to refocus and then smear into static. Far overhead, a slow, deliberate silhouette, something swimming in the air, not flapping. And then the signature talk of a tick, or of a stick on a camera drone. Just think of a monkey poking at stuff. Now, here's some Game Master notes. As with every creature, GMs need to manage the Cerebro-Scrambler to its strength and protect its weaknesses. The idea is creatures aren't, especially creatures like this that have intelligence, they're not going to do stupid things for the sake of being me dumb animal. Okay, can you trick them? Absolutely. But the idea, you know, it's not a round one fight in an environment that it wouldn't be comfortable in. That's just not how creatures like that work. You know, you're not going to find a lion outside the Serengeti, you know, unless it's in a zoo. Okay, somebody's going to correct me on the national park, but who cares? You get the idea. So what's the first thing it's going to do? It's going to deny electronics. It naturally does that, and we'll take a look at those stats in a moment here. It naturally does that. Plus, it can do that with a burst. It will choose the terrain. Obviously, it likes to float around, and it does have kind of a method of, we'll call it pseudo-flight, if it really needs to move fast. And it will act in short bursts and then disengage, especially if you hurt it. Now, they dislike sustained heat, and they definitely don't like chaos near their nest. Now, you could probably take a flamethrower and get one to, we'll call it a burster flamethrower. I don't know if there's such a thing, but, you know, a mega damage flamethrower and get one to back off. But if
wait, this is a mega damage creature?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We'll look at all the stats. We're going to actually focus on some stats. I'm just not going to focus on the lore. I'm going to give you the digest version of the lore. But if there's chaos near a nest, near a shoal, then you're going to have problems because they get scared like that. Imagine your cat sleeping and you clap your hands. What does he do? Jumps up, freaks out, right? Yeah, that's kind of these things as well. So they don't mean to be jerks, but you can certainly think that they are. And I'm going to put this in here now. They're not Kender. They're not imps. They don't do things to intentionally make you angry. They're not Loki. They're literally curious. If they're doing something that is repugnant to you, like shutting off your computer, or you're making your hover car start to drift because you can't control it because the electronics are shut down. They're not doing it because they're like, oh, look what I can do, look what I can do. They're like, oh, that was neat. I got close and it slid. I flew back and it did. Huh. What if I do it again? Oh, shit, it happened again. They're thinking more like that. Okay. In the most anthropomorphic way I can put it. Remember, the Scrambler is curious, social, and defensive. It wins by denying electronics and spiking EMPs, then disengaging. It prefers height, cluttered rafters, wind shear, and any place where tech is relied upon. Smart play leans into terrain and jamming. It avoids extended toe-to-toe fights. So what kind of adventures work well? Well, later on, I'm going to give you 3 hook, line, and sinkers. But in all cases, your best play is to reward calm procedure, creative lures, and good crowd control. Not shoot them up first and ask questions, never. Loud, sloppy tactics work, but with collateral damage or fallout and consequences. And you'll see that when we go through the hook, line, and sinkers, how I incorporated those into those. And if that big pulse is coming, come on, Game Masters, telegraph it. One of the best examples that I think can telegraph this, or at least give the feeling, is you remember when Obi-Wan in Attack of the Clones was chasing or being chased by Boba Fett or Jango Fett, and he launched those seismic things. Everything went quiet, and then boom. Describe it like that. Give that kind of vacuum moment, and then pulse, and everything just goes. Make it feel like the room is holding its breath. Now, do you want a floating Cthulhu guard Cthulhu? Air octopi are also can be trained to be companions or guard animals. I'm not going to dive into that, but you can read all about it in this long text of wall of text here. The text is good. It is all necessary information. This is why I can't spend all day on this reading. This would take me 2 hours to explain everything. So, and bottom line, the Cerebro-Scrambler is probably weird coming from me, but it's how I envision Rifts at its best. It's wild biology meets high tech. Not that it has a high tech, but it's utilizing or affecting the high tech. It pushes players to adapt, think with the environment, and decide what victory looks like when the monster isn't evil, just very good at turning your toys off. So now we're going to take a look at some books of statistics, and then we will get into the hook, line, and sinkers. All right. So where are we? Oh, they start here. Okay. No, they don't. I'm not going to cover everything in here as well. Just some of the poignant facts. Again, if this is a creature you like, get the book. You can get it in PDF, probably in the description if you're watching some video later, or get it from Palladium Books in paperback, like I have right here. So attributes. IQ is 1d6 plus 9, considered high animal intelligence, so it still doesn't think like a human, but it is fairly smart in terms of concerning animals, right? The strength, 1d6 plus 19 supernatural. Where the heck is my mouse?
Wow.
I want to hover. I can't find my mouse. There's my mouse. So yeah, 1d6 plus 19 supernatural. Don't arm wrestle it.
No. Tentacle wrestle, whatever.
There you go. And don't care about the rest. Floating, hovering in the air, its speed is 1d6 plus 9 or 10 miles per hour. Floating is the animal's natural state. We already talked about that. But it can speed burst, quote unquote, swimming through the air at 22 miles per hour. But that can only be maintained for 1d6 plus 6 minutes. Now you might be like, well, that's really not fast. Yeah, not for aircraft, not for your juicer. But for the normal person, people don't run 22 miles an hour. Well, you say might get close, but you know.
Yeah. Not for 1d6 plus 6 minutes, definitely.
Right. So, it'll come in, it'll go away. And remember, if there are multiples of these things, say up to 40, they are smart enough to learn tactics. Get your attention over here where somebody else over there is doing something else. You know, and they will note that if they go booyah, and your board falls over, well, that worked once. It'll probably work again. We'll talk about that in a second. Swinging through trees. They can go at a speed of 18 miles per hour just swinging through trees. Okay. typically hover, we read the MDC by location. I'm not going to read it all off. We'll look at the main body. 1d6 times 10 plus 120. Average roll 3.5. So we'll just say 4. 4 times 10 is 40. So about 160 MDC. By itself, not crazy powerful. So, and it does talk about STC worlds. We won't get into that. Horror factor 10 for an individual, 14 when encountered in numbers larger than 4. So if you come across a shoal, there's 14. Horror factor is something, look, I'm not going to scroll back up. It's a Cthulhu monster. You're going to be creeped out by it. Lifespan, don't care. PPE, disposition, I think you already got that, but just in case, incredibly inquisitive and playful. Though attracted to humans and DBs, they're wary of people and regard them and most sentient beings as dangerous, destructive, and unpredictable. Thus, in the wild, they tend to be elusive and watch people from a distance. You can read more if you want. What's that?
Which is fine because most people want them to keep their distance.
Right? Got some skills in here that they have just as their natural abilities, the equivalent thereof. Why can I not see my mouse on that page there? Some natural abilities. So they can use tools and weapons and have keepsakes. Electronic scrambling. Here we go. Close proximity. Notice it doesn't say it's an act of power. Just close proximity within 10 foot causes interference with electronic devices, scrambling radios, and video transmissions, communication sensors, computers, and other electronic devices. Inflicts a minus 30% penalty on all skills related to the use of said electronics devices. Plus response time from the device is slow, taking 10 times longer. You're back on dial-up, buddy. Also reduce bonuses for targeting by half because your reticle keeps going, doing that little squiggle thing that's annoying. Even shielded and hardened electronics inside a robot or vehicle are interfered with, though the penalty is half. It's only a 15% penalty.
Wow.
Now, that's the one that's passive. That's just it.
Yeah. On
now,
all the time.
Yeah. Here's the one where it gets threatened. The Scrambler's most powerful defense against technology is an electromagnetic pulse that temporarily knocks out electronic devices. The MP burst is a deliberate attack because the Scrambler is smart enough to know it impairs many of the weapons, sensors, devices used by people. So it knows to take out your devices. If it sees something metallic or sees something that looks like technology, it is smart enough to go, I want to take that out. They know the EMP is especially useful against people wearing helmets and body armor and against cyborgs, robots, and vehicles. The fact that its electromagnetic pulse seems to affect the machines of two-legged creatures, humans, DBs, is something all Scramblers have learned. And so what are the penalties? Temporarily shuts down or completely scrambles radio signals, video feeds, and transmissions, electrical feeds, yada, 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 yada. Scroll. Things are undecipherable. Range is 120 feet as a focus blast in front of the Scrambler, double underwater and on ley lines. Or a 30-foot radius generated around the animal. So it can either go forward or it can do a radius around them. A short 1d6 plus 2 melee rounds, but that's 45 seconds to 2 minutes. Oh, this is how long you're out. That's 45 seconds to 2 minutes. Imagine, okay, you've got 5 actions per round. We're not high level yet. 5 actions per round. 2 melee rounds, so that's 45. So 3 melee rounds minimum. So that's 15 actions somebody can get on you or that you're out. If you have these devices or if you necessarily need these devices. Now, somebody like a crazy probably doesn't. But
well, I would say that both the crazy and the juicer would be adversely affected because the crazy has technology in his brain that gives him powers, and the juicer has technology in his blood.
If you think it's affected by EMP, I don't disagree with you. It's how far you want to go with it. It's specifically about the electronics, but you absolutely could make that argument. I'm not saying Heathen Dog's wrong, by the way. I'm just saying you could make that argument. I'm not looking at that because I'm looking more at the Borgs and the vehicles. But yeah, you could theoretically say that affects the crazies and the juicers. It affects anybody using a laser or an electronic scope.
Or any gun that doesn't throw bullets.
Yeah. E-mags or Eclipse for sure, right?
Yeah, gun.
So, anyway, it talks about how often they can do it and so forth. The hover and swim share psychic energy.
Ooh.
Cerebro-Scramblers are able to lend their own ISP to another, providing a temporary boost of ISP to one or more companions it considers to be its benevolent master or leader. If you're, say, a mind melter, would you like to have one of these as a pet?
Heck yeah. That'd be great.
So, again, not going to read more of that. You can, it talks about domesticating them here. Where's the healing? Attacks per melee, it has 6 if it's male, 7 if it's female. Talks about how much damage it does here. Bonus, vulnerabilities. Curiosity killed the cat. Yes, its curiosity will get it in trouble. Magic Nun Psionics, considered an animal with master psychic ability.
Great.
And it talks about the abilities that it has right there. You can pause this if you want to. Yeah. Habitat, anywhere. Enemies, I hate evil things. This is actually kind of cool. Because it looks like an evil, horrible Cthulhu monster that you want to kill first.
But it's not. It's one of those cats that have no hair. It's ugly as hell, but it's still okay.
Yeah. It hates Cerebro-Scramblers fear and hate evil things, especially demons and other evil supernatural creatures and monsters, but tend to judge most people on a case-by-case basis. Again, read more about that if you want to. They don't like dog boys, they don't like mutants, and so forth. So, got some allies in there. If you get one, it's worth 4,000 to 16,000 credits, especially if you can domesticate one. So there you go. That's the quick down and dirty of its stats. If you want to know more, buy the book. But let's talk about what are some cool adventures. Let's go up to at least the picture. So you have something kind of decent to look at here. Oop, there you go. Here, we'll go up to this one now. Isn't he cute? You just want to pet him, don't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So I came up with 3 hook, line, and sinkers, but before we even get into that, I had a final one that just kind of, it's not really a hook, line, and sinker, but just think of this environment. Your team just broke into, say, a facility, an old rundown hangar, a lab that's not being used right now, something that you broke into. It's dark inside, right? But you get in there. Maybe you had to fight your way in. Maybe you snuck your way in. Who cares? Let's go with fighting because I can use another example with that. So you got the Glitter Boy outside and the Borg. They're all fighting the Juicer. You got the Wilderness Scout who got you here. You're the Rogue Scholar or whatever your class is, and you're trying to download this information, right? So you snuck in here. The room's kind of dark and flickering. You don't want to give away your position. There could actually be people in here that might want to shoot you wearing body armor. So you snuck in. You power up the computer system, and you might have even had to hack into it. You know, adding to the time here, right? And you get it. You start seeing that little thing go downloading. Like, oh my God, hurry up. And then and you get that little green or that CRT thing where it spreads across the screen. Everything just goes dark.
Download failed. What?
You're like, what the hell? Or, I mean, yeah, you could have download fail. You could have the power go out. You could have the download supposed to be going, and it's going 10 times slower than it's supposed to be. What the? A moment later, that computer reboots, and you're getting the post. It's posting up for you. I don't know what they do in Rifts Earth. I don't care. They're posting up for you. And you finally got it back on. You get to the DOS prompt. You're trying to get hacked back in, and what the? And then off in the distance, I don't know, just a few feet away, but a little bit in the distance, like I said, it's dark. You hear like what sounds like a tool or a wrench or something that just clatters on the floor. Ding-ding-ding. Now, could that have fallen off the shelf because of an explosion that happened outside because the Glitter Boy boom gunned again, and it shook the building? Is there something? Is there security here looking for you?
I don't know.
You know, all these things are things to consider before you go. There's a little floating squid monster flying over you. Like I said, it's dark. What does the player do at this point? Put this in their head, like, something's going on here. Sure, take a round to look around. Maybe you've got goggles, and they're now like, my night vision goggles are streaking. You see the glint of movement. Maybe you see one tentacle flying as something goes that way, but that could just be a glitch again. You don't know. Use the creature to its advantages. You don't have to harm. This creature has no interest in hurting that person in there, at least not yet. But how is the player going to react? That's the fun part about this creature. Now, considering that, let's get to the real hook, line, and sinkers, okay? Adventure 1, Factory Sabotage, I call it. A coalition-aligned frontier town. Now, coalition line doesn't mean they have to be friends. It could just be that the coalition's too close and they know not to piss them off. Coalition-aligned frontier town fabrication plant suffers ghost outages. Forklift stall. Snowy cameras. Twitchy HUDs, and a recent crane had a near miss, like it was hauling something, moving something over, and it wouldn't stop, and it almost hit somebody or hit some other product or something. You make up whatever you want, right? Night shift is begging for the outside troubleshooters before the CS inspectors come to shut them down. Because, CS doesn't care why, they care that they're not getting the stuff, right?
Yeah. All
right, so there's your hook. Line. And I tried to make multiple lines here depending on the party type. I didn't do every type possible. Again, I'm trying to get your brain juices flowing here, not run an adventure for you. So let's just say there's some tech-heavy mercs. Well, the manager comes out and is like, hey, we need you guys to harden our systems or something here. You look like the type of people that you got some vehicles. Can you please, for the love of God, make it so that they stop fading out? They go, every time we try to use them, something's going on, and we know that there's something weird happening here. You and your goofy wizards and your ley lines, or you psychics and your mental powers or something. Just make it stop. I got a time and materials contract on this, and some of that I will export over to you. I forget the term. I don't know why I can't think here, but I will divert some of those funds to you, and a bonus if there are no injuries here, because we got to keep things going here. Okay, your psychic magic team, the foreman of the inside, the shift lead, whatever, quietly asks for help, noticing the outages correlate with welding arcs and shouted orders. So anytime somebody screams, "Hey Joe, get that thing over here," something happens. Or when they turn on those welding arcs, why? Because they're really bright, they're sparkly, things happen. All of a sudden, stuff goes out, including maybe the welding arc if it's electric. If it's gas, well, maybe not. But, people have seen shadows and think there might be something alive going on up there. You don't want to spill too much, but at the same time, you want to give them a direction to look in, because this is an overnight contract. This isn't something where it's like, hey, you got 3 weeks to solve this. This has to be solved before morning. Let's say you're heathen. You are a lawful coalition agent. CS inspector requests neutral escorts to prevent panic. What happens when we start suiting up and going out to places, people get a little nervous. So we want you guys, we're hiring you to go out there and take a look. Want you to assess the situation, but we'll sign off on anything that makes it safe. Oh, and don't damage the product. And finally, I added a fourth one in here for some reason. If you're just kind of we'll call it the blue collar type. You're either low level or you don't have the pull. You just you get yourself. You're the workers. You get in the mud, right? Probably like vagabonds and wilderness scouts, people like that. You come into the area, and a worker's cousin begs you to just perform some security. Please, use SDC weapons. I wrote down shotguns, but use. We got to. If you're going to do this, use SDC weapons. Stop security. We don't want security coming here and blowing up the place, because that will just get us into more trouble. All of this needs to be done before the coalition gets here. Every one of these. The whole idea is the coalition isn't going to like the fact that they're not getting their stuff. So here's the sinker. Now my sinkers are different than the way Palladium does them. My sinkers come with problems, complications, and outcomes. Problem. A small shoal of Cerebro-Scramblers has nested above the main conveyor, or whatever you want it to be. I had crane originally, but I changed it to conveyor because I pictured that could be up high. Their ambient jamming and defensive EMPs are causing incidents. The plan needs production tonight, not next week. Minor complications. Now, here are things that you can do as a game master that can be fun to add complications to this, because if you make it just straightforward, that's kind of boring. My favorite one is a planted hacker kit. Now, this is a red herring, but because inside, these people are trying to unionize, or the equivalent thereof. Okay, you take it how you want, but trying to utilize, and in order to do that, they're willing to shut down the plant. So you find a hacker kit in there, and of course, the control room is going to blame some of the workers. You can pick which ones you want, or even all of the workers, all trying to unionize. They're causing problems. Well, this is a red herring for the characters to kind of steer them off in a direction that might not be accurate. You've got catwalk rubberneckers. So when you're up there, because people have to still work. So when you're up there, when you do go up and you do look around, you see that there's something going on, they're going to be in the way. You can't just start loading off guns and mines and so forth. First of all, again, you're not here to destroy stuff. Secondly, they got to get their job done, and they're going to be in your way a little bit. Now, can you shoo them? Again, that's going to be up to the player characters and how the game master handles it. There's a coalition inspector en route. His default exterminate and seize, or his default is exterminate and seize if you look disorganized. What does seize mean in this case, Heathen Dog?
Seize as in take?
Well, you're right. So if you're a worker, what does that mean for you?
Confinement?
Could be, yeah. Probably not much other than somebody lording over your quotas, right? But what does it mean for supervisors?
I don't know.
The foreman. Usually when it comes to people like supervisors and foremen, the ineffective are, we'll just say relieved, right?
Oh, fired.
Well, fired literally.
Ooh.
That doesn't mean that has to happen, but of course the manager or the foreman, they're going to be thinking that. That's why they want this crap done. We don't want him here seizing the building because I might not be out of just a job, but I might be out of life.
Oh, Coalition, they're not like that. They're good guys.
Right. And I put an optional one in here, and this was inspired by a book I read. Because this is kind of ragtag territory, OSHA doesn't necessarily exist, and we do believe in the children in the coal mines. We don't have child labor laws. There could be kids running around because it's the best way to keep an eye on your brat if you don't have daycare is to have them up there with you. Well, one of the maintenance kids has befriended one of those creatures, and of course he doesn't tell you that because he knows that they're causing the problem. And this kid or his friends might cause problems if you go in all murder hobo-y.
What, are they going to turn into the monster squad?
Maybe. So what are ways to resolve this? Now, there's no one way to resolve this. It's going to be resolved however the player's at that. But this is what I wrote down for things for people to think about. There's quiet relocation. You can dim the lights. Because remember, they like shiny lights. Start dimming the lights. You clear those catwalks of people. Use some shiny bait. Ding, ding, ding. It's like the cat and the string. Come on. And get them to chase the string. You can net them up. You can give them a little jungle gym as they jungle gym their way out. And somehow you can funnel the creatures to a service door and out the door through a tree line or just outside. A tree line is great because that'll allow them to continue to jungle gym and do the fun things they like to do. You can evacuate and sweep the area. Lock it out, tag it out. Power down the bays, then gently flush the shoal towards the open loading docks. A little bigger door, more things that can get in the way. Best way to do this is have some noise behind them. Rattle, get those cowbells going behind them as they decide to get the hell out because they don't like that kind of chaos by their nest. You can have a handler. You can pair a calm handler. Like, what if you do discover the maintenance kids can talk to, or not, I shouldn't say talk to them, but have befriended one or more of them. Or if you want to kind of help the players out a little more, or if there's even one in the party, you can throw a benevolent side stalker in there who can get their attention and move them out. So you use food, gestures, and, kind of mark quiet areas so the shoal can even possibly remain there and say, okay, factory workers don't go to this location. We don't need this area. Let's usher them to this back corner that we haven't used since, what's it, Cataclysm? But it keeps them away from the machinery. Decoying distractions. Stage a bait cart of tools far from the crane while the second team safes the... So what you do is you fill up I'm sorry, my notes are a little disjointed here, but you fill up a crate full of shiny things that they're like, ooh, that's kind of fun. While A team on the other side puts up tarps and whatever else to kind of keep them out of this area. Again, you're segmenting them away. And you can either drag that cart out into the wilderness or just leave it there. So now you've kind of shored up this, at least shore up the area around the crane or the conveyor, however you want to do it. And then finally, there's always the hard removal. Thermal nets, suppressive fire. Of course, you want to evacuate the civilians first. It's fast but messy. Expect pulses, expect a fight, and expect a public relations blowback. Now, outcomes. This is something I do. This is not part of hook, line, and sinker, but this is for you to think about. You might completely disagree. You might think, no, the coalition be happy that you murdered everything. Okay, that's fine. I don't think that they would think that way. I think that they would think that productivity is more important than murdering everything out there, but it is a Cthulhu monster. Who knows? If you do a humane fix, like some sort of relocation or pilot the thing out, whatever, the workers are grateful, even get some discount on future gigs. Coalition issues a provisional approval, and a rival plant might say, hey, we've got a problem over here, and you got another contract. So spread the love. Efficient sweep, but no blood. Manager pays well. The CS inspector is satisfied. Rumor mill calls the PCs factory whisperers. I don't know if that's a term, but I'm going with it. The brutal purge. Outages stop, but morale tanks. Ecotypes or one of the kids witnesses crates and become a recurring antagonist. Now you might say, well, what do I care about the kid? What if the kid's 16? And you're playing this campaign for a couple of years, and by that time the kid might be 24 or something, and now he's juiced up because he's really angry at you over this one thing. Okay, that's excessive, but you get the idea. Or he remembers you. You have a guy behind you who suddenly says, my name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die. Like, oh, damn it. Right.
You killed my friend, the squid monster. Prepare to die.
There you go. Now, the CS would, praise the compliance, but they're going to keep auditing the plant and making sure that hey, give us our product. So it really didn't help them out necessarily. Now, what happens? Because I like to consider this if the party just completely ignores. Screw this, we don't want to do it. Or it's completely botched. I don't know how you'd botch it, but you're like, we're out. This isn't working the way we want it to. A wide EMP, just have when they're popping off their EMPs, have it cause an injury. Have that crane hit somebody. Have the conveyor belts kick on at a wrong time and somebody gets his hand caught in a wood chipper. Because this potentially harms production, the CS seizes the plant for 72 hours. Until, they end up murderifying everybody, getting it fixed, and leadership is
changed. Yeah, changed.
There you go. And members and this whole rumor of a union, you can handle that how you want. How antagonistic do you want to be about that? Do you want to just say, hey, union's out, any talk of that will be met with repercussions? Or do you want to have a couple of scapegoats that get bloodied in front of everybody so that you know who's in charge? That's, again, up to you. But the only way the PCs can regain face is by extracting that the Shoal under curfew. Because, the coalition isn't going to let the PCs leave either. This area is now quarantined for 72 hours. You are now workers. Good job. But I don't do this. You do now. So there you go. That's I went really in depth on that intentionally, but for the sake of time, we're going to move on to the second one now. You're crossing a canyon. So it's a bridge. It's an older bridge, but one that the coalition knows exists. And they don't want it gone because instead of being 2 minutes, it's going to take 2 hours to get to the village or the factory or the whatever in the other side. No matter what, this is some sort of caravan, a convoy that you've got to get across a chasm. And this bridge it's seen better days, but still fully functional. Okay. So it's a windswept causeway over rough water that connects two settlements. Electronics keep blinking on the span. A hover rig nearly went over the rail. Civilians need escort across today. So there's your hook. Now, are you guys vehicle crews or some sort of outriders? Well, convoy leader offers you salvage rights and field chits if you shepherd the line across without losing a rig. Are you a magical or psychic party? Locals report air swimmers that hate loud flares but love shiny things. They need calm heads, not just guns. Oh, are you Heathen Dog again? CS agent. Command tasks you to keep the route open. No civilian casualties. Minimize munitions on the bridge. The bridge must stay open and functional, and any damage to the bridge will be looked upon unfavorably. The sinker. All right, the problem is a shoal patrols the span, hovering low, popping an EMP cone, then darting away. And it's on a weak ley line. We didn't actually talk that they actually have double the power on ley lines, did we?
Oh no, you glossed over it.
Yeah, and I also didn't talk about the regeneration. So
I did that.
Okay, they like ley lines. Okay,
Me too. Yeah.
So on a weak ley line seam, it lasts longer, but the convoy must cross anyway. Minor complications: crosswinds. So hover trailers are fine when they've got full power, but guess what happens when they're hovering and they can't control their steering?
They go off the bridge.
Luckily, there's a little bit of guardrail. Well, hopefully you have a little bit of a guardrail there, but yeah, they can absolutely flop over. Here's my favorite one. An eco-cult caretaker is in the convoy secretly beaconing the shoal. Another one. Coalition spotters.
Tree-hugging bastard.
You don't know who it is yet, or if there is one. Coalition spotters are at a far toll host, and they will intervene if gunfire erupts on the span. And intervening to them means you're not part of the coalition. All right, so how are ways to solve this? Well, first of all, you can implement spacing. Just have a simple spacing protocol. Use analog hand signals. Use vehicle, 4, 6, 8, whatever vehicle intervals between, so that and time it between pulses. If you know that these things like to go boom, all right, just pop, go, 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 go. I'm not saying that is the right answer. You can find weaknesses in them. I'm just saying those are things to consider. You can use flare or smoke to deny hover perches over the rail because they don't like that kind of stuff. So that's not munition. Well, that's not dangerous munitions. You're just popping smoke. No, cut the beacon. If you identify the caretaker, you can start to figure it out if you use tactical methods like clumping the vehicles. Now you're not clumping the vehicles. You think there's a caretaker, but you might clump them for some sort of safety and security, and all of a sudden find out, it all happened in one spot. It happened twice in a row in 2 spots, but the same group. You maybe can start to figure out what's going on here. Did you turn on something? Did you do this other thing? Oh, why do you have a laser pointer in everybody's eyeball? It's you. You can bait and bypass. Toss a crate of shiny scrap off the lee side of the rope. Or on a rope, sorry. But you can toss it over and let them go, ooh, shiny, and go grab it. You don't want to throw it into the water. You're going to want it to be dangling there so they can take their tentacles and sift through it and go, oh my God, I got a new toy. You can create a windbreak. Now, how does that stop? It might not stop the EMPs, but if you somehow find a way to make a windbreak across this thing, there might be magic, psychic powers, or one big-ass tarp. I don't know. But if you can create a windbreak, that'll at least stop the hover vehicles from falling over the edge. And, of course, there's always the hard deterrence, which expect a coalition response if you do that. And the outcomes again, calm crossing, reputations as pros, the route reopens, convoy leader becomes a future patron. Say, I want to hire you guys again. You guys like money, right? Yeah. It's kind of a mixed bag, but at least people get across safe. Well, one ring dings the rails. CS allows more crossings with those same protocols. So they actually take your protocols and say, nothing was lost. We'll suffer with a few dings. The bridge is safe. Go. Fine. The caretaker flees, and now you have a recurring problem. Loud fight. Bridge remains open, but the CS files an incident, fines, or permit headaches dog the party. I'm going to fine you for the damage on the bridge. Catastrophe. This is basically if you ignore it or if you completely just fail and everything falls over the edge. Now, a dramatic rescue could cement loyalty. Yeah, you botched it, but you know what? You saved people, you saved the goods. That could cement some loyalty. But rumors will spread about you guys being chaotic, about about not being efficient and not getting the job done. And then finally, what if this catastrophe, I screwed up my notes here. This is actually supposed to be broken up into two. So is avoided by your heroics. Well, hey, now especially if somebody befriends one of the Cerebro-Scramblers, remember, if you can befriend them, they might be able to help you. And we're going to find out more about that in the last hook, line, and sinker. They might actually help you. And then you become the Cerebro Whisperers, or you tame the Air Devils. Okay. Those are just options. Again, you can think of many more. And here's the last one. The Good Samaritan. Now, this is the one that I think, no, you did not miss the Battler. The Battler will be the next video. This is the one that I think is going to probably cause the most problems. The first one made sense, right? Getting them out of the ceiling. Did the second one make sense? Like, hey, just protect the convoy. This one might cause some problems. So a plane, some sort of aircraft or whatever, or transport crashes. Maybe it's down south or something, and you're using one of those airboats or whatever. But you have a vehicle that crashes, and a kid is injured badly. They rush him to the town clinic, where a Cerebro-Scrambler hangs out, or is now hanging out. It's shorting out the gear. Now, this part you don't know. I shouldn't have put this in the hook, but I'm going to say it anyway. It's actually trying to help the kid because it's of its ability to heal and lend ISP and use psionics, as Heathen Dog said, for bioregeneration. But every time it gets close, what happens to the EKG? It's causing problems. Now, unknown Psi Stalker. This is what I would do, and this is why I wrote this note in here. A known Psi Stalker claims the creature's bonded to him and can lend ISP if people lower their weapons. But imagine you're the parent of this child, and Cthulhu monster is floating about.
Kill it with fire.
Kill it with fire, especially as every time it gets closer, for whatever reason, things start. Okay, so now you guys have to think. If you are healers or civic-minded people, the mayor, what is that? No, is that me?
No, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, okay. The mayor begs you to keep the clinic running under the Technonile and to protect the child. Clinic running. How are you going to do this without electronics? Well, there are ways that they had bellows and so forth that you could do. What am I thinking here? They're bandaging, elevated positions, tourniquets, whatever. Help out. Okay. Obviously, if you're a psychic healer of some sort, you might have the easy fix for this one, but that's why I wouldn't use this hook, line, and sinker if it's an easy fix, but you get the idea. If you're kind of a diplomatic party, the Psi Stalker will actually ask you to mediate with the CS Patrol en route because you know what they want to do. Human life is more important than everybody else's life, and this thing gets close. It's threatening a human life. Kill first, ask questions never.
Fair.
And if you're more Heathen Dog-ish again and you're CS adjacent, command orders you to secure the scene and prevent asset contamination, but you have discretion if you can produce a safe plan. Because they may actually want to have this creature for psychic study. They don't want it dead. So the problem is the child needs urgent stabilization. The Scrambler's presence scrambles electronics, but it can aid psionically if calm. So when people are shooting at it, even with SDC weapons, it's not going to be calm. It's making a large noise. And this is what the Psi Stalker is like, hey, can you get them to at least stop? They're not listening to me. Well, it's because you're a crazy Psi Stalker. That's why. But the CS squad is minutes away and assumes monster interference. So now you've got to be quick about this. How are you going to negotiate with those folks? Failing generator. Power flickers, deering procedures. By the way, you could even have a real problem be in here outside of just the Cerebro. It's low on fuel. The generator is low on fuel. So now they've got another complication they've got to deal with that isn't just the Cerebro Scrambler. A jumpy private within the CS, once they get there, misreads every twitch and sees a tentacle moving as a threat and starts shooting. Now, what will the Scrambler do? The Scrambler will jet away for a moment, but then want to come back. That's how they operate. Unless you keep continued fire on it. So The Scrambler keeps flying back to. Well, that's I don't know why I wrote that in there. Never mind, we're going to move on. I had something in here about it collecting gadgets, but I don't think that matters what we're talking about. So, Zero Tech Medicine, hand crank suction. Remember, this is going to be for more medical style people to understand. Your Borg probably isn't going to get this. Manual blood pressure cuffs. Assign a PC to mirror slow gestures at the threshold so the Scrambler stays calm. Like, hey, it's okay. It's okay. So that's one way to help. Then it might be able to get closer and use his psychic abilities to heal. You can use some structured help. Have the Psi Stalker cue the Scrambler to lend strength only during a specific step. Like, hey, stay back, stay back, stay back, stay back. And then, okay, come on in. Everybody, machines are going to shut down. Let it come in, do its thing. Buffer the room. Move the generator outside. Kill non-essential lights. Keep weapons holstered. Remember, these things know weapons. Position the jumpy private if he gets there. If he's there by the time this happens, you go. Take a look at the water tower. We think it collected some stuff out there. Maybe there's something we can use that's out there. Okay. Trade and relocate. You can retrieve a comm set from the water tower and trade it away from the clinic as bait. Like, oh, look what we found. Hey, I want that. By the way, I didn't read this, but these things are when they have an item they like, they know the item. That doesn't mean they know everything that they've taken, but if this comm unit, for example, is something that Cerebro-Scrambler really likes, he's going to come after you. That's his now. Mine. And then finally, you can do the hard separation. You can lure it off, you can shoot it off, and you can keep it away, and then just hope that the medical treatment inside works. Compassionate success, the child lives. Town admires the PCs. The CS signs provisional handler, a provisional handler registration, as in you get to keep this thing. And the Scrambler becomes a recurring ally or even a companion. Procedural win. Clinic is stabilized under no electronics SOP. Coalition remains wary, but holsters weapons. The Psi Stalker owes you a favor because it didn't die. Heavy-handed. Shots fire. Scrambler flees or is injured. The town resents the PCs even if the child survives. The CS files a glowing order maintained report with strings attached later. And finally, if you walk away or ignore it, CS takes over. The outcome is out of the PC's hand. Mayor spreads words that the party wouldn't help when it mattered, closing doors in the region. And finally, the notes for the Game Master. Through all of that, if that didn't bore the crap out of you already, through all of that, reward low-tech fallbacks, reward spacing and analog considerations, calm control of civilians, penalize shouting. How do you penalize shouting? How do Scramblers, there we go, how do they react? Okay. Floodlights, things like that. Those are not the way to handle the situation. So basically everything that the military or the CS would want to do is not the way to handle the situation. The Scrambler is defensive, not bloodthirsty. It retreats if shown reliable patterns, or if it retreats if shown aggression. Yeah, there you go. Suppression, but it can it can learn reliable patterns, is how I meant to say that. Use dim light, soft voices, and food or shiny bait. There you go. I know that was pretty long, but first of all, this thing is like 5 pages in the book. Secondly, I wanted to give a bunch of hook, line, and sinkers for you to consider. Now you have your own. You can use obviously what I said here, but now you have your own. But I really want to dive into the thing of not shooting first. We're actually going to do that with the battler as well, and that might make even less sense to you. Like, why would you not shoot that thing? So
look at it.
But here, yeah, look at it.
I know. Look at that thing. I mean, it's just as shoot worthy as the Cthulhu monster you just talked about.
There you go. All right, what are people saying, or what did they say?
Oh, they were just going along. Did it get your beard? Because apparently he thinks you shaved.
I mean, I shave like I always do on Sundays, but
we've all worked in a place where there is a wild animal corner we all try to ignore. if you get a big enough factory, there is a spot where you're like, there's squirrels or a raccoon or something in there. We just don't go over there.
It's a pack of dogs.
Probably wouldn't ignore a pack of dogs, but yeah, you get the point. It's more along that.
Okay. All right then. Then as a reminder, theoretically, next week we have Kevin and Jeremy that should come back already. Yeah, they're just here last week, but they hopefully will be here on Sunday to talk about that Nightbane audiobook that I don't have the name written down. I have it written down. Is it here? Nightbane Through the Glass Darkly. And to talk about how to run horror games at your table, how to do it maybe for children, how to do it for adults, how to be gross without being gross, how to set the tone of tension and stress, or maybe just a slasher flick. I think a slasher flick, I don't think a lot of people actually know how to run a good slasher flick. They think they do, but they don't. Maybe we'll even talk about that, because a slasher flick still has to have some suspense to it, right?
Yes.
So... all right, but we'll be talking about that next week. In the next video, I'm going to do the same thing I did here, but I'm going to be talking about the something battler. Yeah, the carnivore, the jerk battler from Rifts Bestiary One. And I look forward to talking to you then.